To the flag of the United States of America, the true republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join us for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Will the pro tempore please call roll?
Okay, like always, I'm going to call you guys by threes. So when you raise your hand, or when I call your name, please raise your hand. Senators Murcia, Flashman, and Tackett. Senators Roy, Villacorta, and Marcus. Senators Bateman, Gertz, and Hunter. Senators Little, Bergen, and Rudolph. Senators Destine, Grunberger, and Rossi. Senators Mouget, Shaler, and Prescia. Senators Randall, Wilkinson, and Stoltz. Senators Arute, England, and Nasworthy. Senators Molina, Hall, and Lassard. Senators Duperrier, Shanahan, and Rodriguez. Senators Linsky, Rigadel, and Fineout. Senators Soto, Lewis, and Ramos. Senators Sam, A. Gonzalez, and Martin. Senators Gabadaj, Reed, and Moore. Senators Suarez, Nemeth, and Russell. Senators J. Hitchcock, Melion, and Murray. Senators West, Rivera, and Thorpe. Senators Kay, Hitchcock, Darldeek, and Tooks. Senators Ross, Bull, and Kalink. Senators Louise, Stinson, Gonzalez, and Rudd. R. Gonzalez, are you here? All right, President Harmon, we have quorum.
All right, thank you, pro tempore Wang. Give me one. All right. Corrections and approval of the journal. Is there a motion to approve the journal from January 13th, 2021? Senator Roy.
Motion to approve the journal.
All right, is there a second? Senator Stoltz.
So seconded.
Are there any objections? All right, seeing none, the journal is approved from January 13th. And before we move on, the correct term is I move. This is not to call you out, Tyler. This is just, the correct term is to I move. I ask for the motion. Someone says to move. Just a clarification. I know Senator Hunter had brought that up to me earlier in the week. All right, continuing. Student and non-budgeted RSO comments. Are there any students or non-budgeted RSOs wishing to make a comment? The Qualtrics, we're having an issue accessing it because Deshaun has left. So if you submitted a Qualtrics, unfortunately, we don't have that. So hopefully you're here. Just raise your hand. Oh, all right. Mr. Rowan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have one quick thing, just so all the senators know. I brought this up to the original sponsor of the bills, but there is I just been looking at it. I have slight concern with proposed bills 6 and 7 because of the fact that similar language to that has been struck down by the FSU Supreme Court. So I hope that whenever it goes to whatever committees it's going to, that y'all take a look at that and make sure that all of its language is constitutional. Thank you.
Are there any other students or RSOs wishing to speak? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Special introductions and announcements. The student body president was supposed to come today, but he unfortunately had, or not unfortunately, but he has ROTC currently, so he will be making it next week. Messages from the executive branch. Oh, well, this was for him, sorry. Messages from agency and bureau directors, SGA organization officers, and employees. None. Messages from the executive cabinet. Messages from the class councils. Messages from the Congress of Graduate Students. Messages from the judicial branch. Messages from the union board and student engagement ambassadors. None. Messages from campus recreation board. None. Report of the SGA accounting office. Remaining balances. Senate Projects has a remaining balance of $20,000. PAC has a remaining balance of $44,411. RTAC has a remaining balance of $56,485. And the organizational fund has a balance of $1,600. Report of Senate liaisons. Are there any Senate liaisons wishing to make a report? Senator Randall.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm a Senate liaison for the Jewish Student Union. I'd like to personally thank all the senators who listened to Jewish students during public comment this week in SLAW. They appreciate your time and look forward to coming back next week when spots are available. JSU is excited to announce that a Holocaust survivor will be sharing their story via Zoom next Wednesday at 5 p.m. in our International Holocaust Remembrance Day. I'll be dropping the flyer in the Senate chat. I think this is an excellent opportunity for us to be educated on what it was like for someone to go through such a horrific and tragic event in order for us to continue to learn from these types of hateful events. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair Randall. Are there any other liaisons wishing to make a report? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to report of the committees. The chair for judiciary. Chair Little.
Yes, judiciary did not meet this week, but we will be meeting on Friday at 7:30.
All right, thank you, Chair Little. Internal affairs.
Hi, everyone. Internal Affairs met yesterday at 8 p.m. Our regular meeting time will be Mondays at 6:30. We just had to move it this week because of MLK Junior Day. We held 2 candidate confirmation hearings, and we supported both of them. So you'll be hearing Juliana Strong tonight for sophomore class council president, and you'll be hearing our very own Emma Bella Rudd for Director of the Office of Governmental Affairs. We talked about some other things as well, some legislation that we're going to be working on as a committee, and we will be starting the Bureau Review process, the annual Bureau Review process in the next few weeks. So feel free to come out, and thank you all very much.
Thank you, Chair England. Chair Rudolph for Finance. Senator Rudolph. Oh, there we go. Oh,
there we go. All good. All right. Yes, Finance has not met yet this week, but we will be meeting tomorrow at 5:30 to simply go over our rules of procedure and get a head start on the work for the rest of the year. Thank you.
thank you, Chair Rudolph. Student Life and Academic Affairs.
Hello, everybody. SLAW met on Tuesday at 6:30. We passed Bill 1, Resolution 1, and Resolution 6, which will be heard on the floor tonight. And then we tabled Resolution 7, 8, and 9, which will be heard next week on Monday at 6:30. If any of y'all are interested in coming, it's on the SGA website. That's it for me.
Thank you, Chair Martin. Budget. Chair Stinson. All right, is the Vice Chair, oh, okay, there we go.
Budget did not meet this week, so we're gonna meet on Monday, and that was MLK Day. So we're gonna meet next Monday at 7 to go over rules of procedure.
Thank you, Chair Stinson. Chair Hunter. For IRJ.
So Ridge is not met this week, but we will be meeting on Friday at 6 p.m. to start our discussions on what we're going to handle this Senate.
And finally, rules.
Hey guys, rules met at 5 o'clock right before Senate. We passed one candidate for the undergrad seat 18, so you'll be hearing her on the floor tonight. We passed resolutions 1, 2, 3, and 5, and we tabled resolution 4.
All right, Senator Gonzalez.
Yes, point of information. When was the forwarding letter sent for the sophomore class council candidate?
Chair England.
Sorry, it was grabbing my food out of the oven. So the sophomore class council position was not sent. That is not a position that is forwarded by the executive branch. I have received a Word document from the senior class council president, Alexandra Sexton, who I've been working with on that. And she is the one that forwarded to IA. And so, yes, that is not a position forwarded by the executive branch. But if anybody would like to see the forwarding letter, it is in my email. It's literally 2 sentences that says, you know, I do hereby forward this person after she had an interview. So yeah.
Chair Randall.
I hope this is all right. I'd like to make a point of clarification about finance, since RTAC is technically part of that. We need requests. If you know an RSO that needs that wants to attend a virtual event, please come and submit an RTAC request. I'm going to place it in the chat for everyone to see. We need more things to fund. There are lots of professional organizations that have big conferences that require an attendance fee. We'll cover a lot of that. You just need to come up and show up and submit an application. If you have any questions, reach out to me, and thank you.
Thank you, Chair Randall. Senator Villacorta.
Point of personal privilege and also probably a point of order. Would we be able to get the Qualtrics forms of the candidates up for confirmation tonight? The PDF forms that are in the drive or the folder. The links to their letters of recommendation and resumes don't work.
That is for you, Chair England.
Yes, if you give me a moment, President Harmon has the list of senators, like the email list for senators. I will send everything I have to him right now, and he can distribute that to the whole of Senate in the next few minutes. So give me a minute, but yes, I'll work on that for you.
Senator Gonzalez.
Yeah, point of information to the presiding officer. So oversight has always been forwarded the candidates for the class councils from the executive branch. So I just don't know when that changed. So can you clarify where it says that?
I will direct that to the chair of the Oversight Committee.
Thank you. So the day after, so last Thursday, the day after we had elections, I had a call with the chief of staff, Max Roca. He told me that that was not something that the executive branch did, and he directed me to the senior class council president, and I also consulted with the secretary of appointments on this, and she also agreed that the executive branch, they did not receive an application from her. So my assumption is it was sent to the senior class council president. And so I interviewed the candidate after being sent it by the senior class council president, after I was told by the chief of staff and secretary of appointments that that was not something they forwarded to us.
Senator Gonzalez.
Yeah, I guess I just want further clarification. What do you mean by you didn't receive an application from her?
So I have her, I can't do too many things at once. I can't send it out and answer your questions at the same time, but I do have an application from her. I have her resume and I have the nomination letter by the senior class council president. And then for the other candidate for for Senator Rudd, I have everything relating to her appointment as well. And if you give me a second, I will get it sent out to everyone. I just need a moment to collect my things and send them out.
All right, we're moving on in the calendar. All right, Senate confirmations, Senator Rudd, Emma Bella Rudd for OGA Director, Juliana Strong for Sophomore Class Council President, and Rachel Cotu, I apologize if I'm pronouncing this wrong, so correct me when I unmute you, Rachel Cotu for Undergraduate Studies Seat 18. If all three of the candidates could please raise their hands so I can unmute you all. Oh, I see you, Anna. Just the little raise hand function. All right. I'm going to unmute all of you quick. All right. Give me 1 second to get the timer ready. Apologies, my phone was on the charger, so I have to go get it. Okay. So you all will be given 5 minutes for your opening. This is when you can say whatever you'd like to the Senate. After that, 5 minutes is up, or if you have time left over, it will be reserved for your closing. We'll go into technical non-debatable questions. Those are just yes, no, basic factual answer questions that can be answered by yes, no. And then we'll go into questions by the senators. Are there any questions or comments before we begin? All right. And we'll go in alphabetical order, starting with Ms. Cotu. Please correct me if I'm saying that incorrectly.
You're good. It is Kutu.
Okay, thank you. You may begin.
Hi, I'm Rachel Kutu, and I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm a first-year student originally from Jacksonville, Florida. I've always wanted to join the Student Senate because not only will it allow me to gather the skills needed for my possible future career as a politician, but it allows me to help those on campus who deserve respect and representation. As a senator, I hope to create programs that develop a sense of security and mindfulness across campus. I strive for diversity and will be a strong advocate for those who wouldn't otherwise have a voice or are afraid to share their views, while at the same time learning the in and outs of amendments with hands-on experience. Florida State University should be a sense of comfort and home to all those it teaches. With that, it requires a strong student body senate that ensures censorship will never be a problem and the safety among all its constituents, which will remain my top priority if I am given the opportunity.
Thank you. You have 4 minutes and 5 seconds for your closing. Now we'll move on to candidate Rudd. You may begin whenever you are ready.
Good evening, Senate. It has been such a privilege to work with each and every one of you this past year. I can't believe it was a year ago that I was elected into this position back in February. And I just want to introduce myself to those I have not had the chance to work with yet. My name is Isabella Rudd. I go by she, her pronouns. I'm a current second year at Florida State University. And prior to stepping on Florida State University's campus and in Tallahassee itself, I knew that from the moment I got here, I wanted to learn everything I could about the student body and help in any way I could. At the age of 5, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and it taught me a lot about why we need representation in every avenue and in every space we occupy. There are so many underrepresented groups in every space, and we've seen it, especially this past year. We've seen it in Senate, we've seen it in our community, we've seen it even in our hometowns, and it has been devastating. Even this healthcare crisis, we need representation. And last year, when I had the opportunity to lobby for the Florida State University Office of Governmental Affairs, I was ecstatic. I was so excited to be able to go to the Capitol and talk about so many different issues that are so important to students. As a background about me, I've been able to work and write legislation both at the state capitol and also work on legislation at the federal capitol and get allocations passed, and also work on sustainable policies that will help those that are underrepresented. And if you have any questions, I would love to tell you more about those policies I've worked on. And having this background and experience, I can truly say that this is my passion, and I am so excited to have the opportunity to represent Florida State student body. This is something tangible and so exciting that we can work on. And I am so excited to continue working with Senate if I am passed tonight, because truly this is a testament to, what I believe I'm here on this planet to do, is help represent people and listen to people and make sustainable change happen. And we've seen that over this past year. We need it more than ever. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time tonight to hear from us 3 candidates, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Senator Rudd, or Candidate Rudd, either one. Senator Gonzalez has a point. We will listen to the point first.
Yeah, point of order. Pursuant to statute 307.3 about the Student Government Association applications, it clearly states, in order for candidates to be interviewed before the next Student Senate meeting, the forwarding letter must be sent to the Senate President. You all can read the rest. And also according to the Student Supreme Court decision, Bynum versus SGA, even student Senate positions have to be forwarded by the executive branch. So I don't understand why she wasn't given a forwarding letter. I understand she could be interviewed by the senior class council president, but at the end of the day, she has to be forwarded by the executive branch in a forwarding letter. So she should not be heard today.
All right, seeing as though that was brought to my attention, unfortunately, Candidate Strong, we will not be hearing you today. We'll get this sorted out and hopefully come back next week. I apologize for this. So we'll see you back next week, hopefully. And for clarification with the Bynum versus SGA, there was a misquote in the case where they did not include elected for student body appointments. That I'm currently dealing with the Supreme Court Chief Justice, who will get back to me as soon as they can. Just for clarification for all of you to know that that's what's going on right now. But seeing as though we only have 2 candidates now, we'll open the floor for technical non-debatable questions. Senator Gonzalez. All right, Senator Darley.
Yeah, I had a simple technical non-debatable. I just wanted to know if you are both financially certified.
Yes.
Thank you. I apologize. I accidentally muted myself. I am not financially certified, but that was going to be my top priority right after this meeting if I did happen to get appointed.
All right, point of personal privilege, Senate President.
Sure.
I just wanted to ask, I guess, for you to tell the Senate candidate kind of what the issue would be 3 weeks after if she does become a senator in that situation, if she's not financially.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so seeing as though you are applying for a spring seat is up for re-election in the spring election coming February. I'm not entirely sure of the current election date. Just making that aware that that is what's, you don't have much time unless you're running for re-election.
Okay.
All right. Any more questions? Senator Linsky.
Yes, this is just for Rachel. Did you run for the Senate in the fall?
Yes, so I was actually trying to get into this position in the fall, and then there was a problem with the forwarding, so I was not able to be heard at the last meeting, and then I was contacted last week about coming to this meeting.
Thank you.
Senator Marcus. Oh, okay, there we go.
Point of information for the chair: has every candidate that applied for these positions been given an interview in accordance with the specified criteria of statute 304.3?
Let's direct that to Chair England, who conducted these interviews.
Pulling up 304, just a second. You said, I just need to make sure I know what that is. Statutes 304.2, I believe you said. 304.2, candidate search. To my knowledge, yes. In response to specifically statute 304.2, yes, that is something that section B is relating to the executive branch. Section C is not related to my role of interviewing candidates forwarded to me by the executive branch, and no position requiring student senate confirmation. And again, advertised properly. To my knowledge, my job is to interview candidates once they've been forwarded to me. And so, to my knowledge, all of 304.2 was fulfilled, else I trust that they wouldn't have been forwarded to me.
And I will also direct that to Pro Tempore Wang, who oversaw the nomination of Ms. Cotu.
Yes, I will say the exact same thing as Senator England.
All right, Senator Boole.
Thank you. I got a bit confused when Matthew's question was answered. So did you run for election or did you apply to be appointed?
I applied to be appointed. I apologize for the miscommunication.
That's all right. Thank you.
Are there any more technical non-debatable questions for the candidates? Senator Boole, do you have another question?
I apologize. No, sorry.
All right, that's okay. Senator Randall. Oh, okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a quick question for y'all. Have y'all attended any training sponsored by the university or SGA? This can include NCBI, Knowles Care, No More Green Dot training, or anything like that.
Yes, I have attended NCBI training, and I plan to attend other ones as soon as I can fit them on my schedule.
So unfortunately, with COVID and being a first year, it was very difficult for me to learn about a lot of the trainings that were going on. So I was hoping that if I was appointed into this position, then that would allow me to further my view on what I could do. And I am willing and definitely want to attend trainings within those areas.
All right, Senator Darrell-D.
Yeah, I move to enter the round for questioning in regards to character or position, whichever you prefer, Mr. President.
We're just going to do questions. I'm not going to do it IA style, which is save time. You can ask any question you'd like now that we are in a round of questioning to the candidates. Senator Ramos.
Hi, I have a question for the forwarded Senate candidate. Earlier you mentioned wanting to advocate for diversity in your time in the Senate. Could you give a specific example of a plan you have for this and tell us any communities that you specifically want to represent?
So I personally am a bisexual woman, so I have a lot of pride and want to represent the LGBT community to the best of my ability. And also being a woman, that is another community that I would love to represent. The way that I want to do it is more so by creating programs and getting people more involved as we can. Obviously with COVID, it is very difficult right now, but I just want people to gather and come together. I do realize that there is the Pride Student Union, but have it in a way where, yes, women and people in the LGBTQ plus community are coming, but also allies want to join, and have fun events that just bring people together and make sure that they are feeling safe and secure.
Thank you. Senator Gonzalez.
This is a point of information to either the presiding officer or Chair England. Did we, according to Bill 94, we have to have either the minutes to the interviews that were conducted or any relevant documents from the interviewing party of the forwarded candidate. So did we receive that for candidate Rudd, and also I guess for Senator, potential Senator Kotu?
Yeah, you did. It was placed on the SGA website where it was accessible to all senators, to my knowledge. So yes. Chair England, do you have anything else to add? Senator Randall.
Hi there. I have a question for the candidate for OGA Board of Directors. Understanding that local government is the backbone of our community, I would argue. What specific plans do you have to increase FSU advocacy efforts in our local community, where arguably it matters most?
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree with you more. So exciting news. Obviously, this year has been a testament to showing that we really do need to, continue our advocacy for renaming campus buildings and giving the power back to the university and the student body to rename buildings on campus. And so excitingly enough, we just had an update today that the local government is going to work to get those chapters to repeal them, so we give the power back to the student body and to the university. So we're working through that with the local government. You can get so much more done on a local government because those people are most aware of the community and what is exactly happening. So we're going to be closely working with that group of local leaders to get that done. So we'll be working with that level of government and the state level of government. And so that's just the beginning. That's what's tangible and real right now. And so that's what I'll share with you. But as much as we can get done, we will get done. I will share Rotem Roz, who is on the board of directors. She is working on having a day at town hall. Obviously, that's probably going to be virtual this semester, looking at COVID. But we are, all of us collectively are working to create more of an engagement on the local level of government. Thank you for your question.
Senator Lassard. Senator Villacorta.
Hi, question for the OGA candidate. If confirmed, will you commit to working with local and state governments to ensure the failure of House Bill 1?
May I ask a question? If you could explain the title of House Bill 1 for me?
House Bill 1 is what's been widely known as the criminalization of protest bill.
Oh, yes.
I think the more specifics, but
Yes.
I assume you know what I'm referring to.
Yes. Okay, exactly. We have actually been in constant debate about that on the board of directors, talking about the anti-protest bill and how it will impact students negatively. And so that is something we are, speaking about. The legislative agenda is not finalized. We have a long list of, I believe, 8 to 12 items that we are looking at. You will see the legislative agenda in 2 weeks. Likely on the Senate floor, but that is something we have been talking about, debating about. So you most likely will see that. If not, please move to amend it on the Senate floor. That is something the student body is passionate about. So we are highly considering that, as well as that was something we had seen through the Qualtrics form we had put out, and also through our town hall.
Senator Linsky.
Follow up from Ms. Kutu. Suppose that I misunderstood your response to the last question. Now that we're out of technical non-debatables, why didn't you run for office, and why do you choose to go through the appointment process instead?
So I actually heard about the appointment process through a friend, and I decided to go that route, and I was too late, I believe, to the elections by the time that all of it was going on. And I felt this was the easiest way, or the best way, to be able to get into Senate quickly and be able to do what I would like.
Senator Lassard.
So this is for Senate confirmation candidate Co2. What RSOs are you involved with on campus currently or have been in the past?
I am currently involved in Hall Council with Dorman and Divinity, and I am also going through the training of being an orientation leader.
Senator Boole.
Yeah, I just had a point of inquiry. This may not be accurate for Offices of Governmental Affairs, but is it appropriate to ask questions about specific legislation and bills? I remember that being an issue with some other
For
candidates.
OGA, I see that it's okay. Probably for other offices that don't really deal with legislation, probably not. I mean, other than like our own Senate legislation.
All right, thank you.
Senator Villacorta.
Lift my hand up, my bad.
Senator Lassard.
Follow up for Senate candidate Co2. I have been informed that you were involved, that you were at a Turning Point USA convention in December. Are you still involved with that organization?
Wait, no. Before we go on to that, let's not ask that question. I believe that person's political beliefs outside of this chamber has nothing to do with what they do within the chamber. So we're going to move on. Senator Darlik.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the candidates. I had a question in regards to, I heard them both, I believe both of them. I'm not sure if just one of them, but I heard a mention of COVID-19 and kind of the importance of it, and that we need to take it seriously because as a nation, there has been a lot, sadly, has not been taken as seriously as it should have. But when it comes to the two candidates up for candidacy today, I did want to ask, have you both been making sure throughout your personal, affairs and personal life, you are taking these COVID-19 guidelines seriously, you are social distancing, you are wearing a mask, and you are making sure that you are keeping your safe and your family safe, and the people who surround you safe? I just want to make sure that that is something that you have both considered during your, time when you're not representing the university, where you're just being yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And as someone who had the opportunity to get the vaccine last weekend, I jumped to it despite a lot of misinformation. And I had some interesting reactions, but to me, it's worth it. As someone who does live with an immune compromised system, I have to be very careful. I am 3 to 4 more times likely to suffer from complications from COVID-19. Vanderbilt just did a study on it. So that's really important to me. And I try in any area and place I'm in to also educate people why it is so important. And that to me is prominent through both my passions and involvements, and also outside of these fields as well.
I would say the same. I actually have to go get tested tomorrow because my friend was in direct contact with someone. I wasn't in direct contact with them, but I still want to take the precautions because I was around them. It was my suite mate. So I am going to be getting tested to ensure that I don't have it. I have my mask here right now because I'm in a study room. I have been taking all the precautions and making sure that I am safe in my daily life. And if there's anything that I'm willing to take risks with, I will ensure that I go through the correct precautions if I either made a mistake, so getting tested prior to going home, prior to being in contact with other individuals and everything else.
Senator Gonzalez.
Yes, this is a question to Senator Rudd. I had the pleasure of interviewing you for OGA Board of Directors at the very beginning. So I just want to know, why do you think you're qualified to lead a board that you haven't been a part of for that long?
Yes, absolutely. And so that is an incredible question. I am only a second year, and historically, third years and fourth years have held this position. And, this is something I'm immensely passionate about. At the age of 11, I started going to Capitol Hill in DC, working on legislation, working to get these allocations passed for these underrepresented communities. And so the first moment I could get involved with an organization like OGA, I was going to do it. And when I realized, as a woman, as someone who's worked really hard to be in the spaces that I am in, I realized I am capable of leading a board, working for advocacy of the student body. Just in the year and a half that I've been here, I've learned so much about what this community needs and what this community deserves. And so I decided, let me apply, let me show them the talents I do have. And, I am really, I lean back on my values of compromise, bipartisanship, listening before ever speaking, my own personal beliefs. And so I felt that, with that coming into a board like this, I wasn't going to just, apply for a board position, but I was going to try for director because I knew I was capable of doing so. And that was something I was passionate about. And so I am, I was very, excited to have this position to be forwarded. Explaining the fact that, I haven't been on the board before. I wasn't aware I could be a freshman and apply on the board, unfortunately, but I was able to be at FSU Day at the Capitol, and seeing FSU Day at the Capitol and seeing so many people that were so passionate about advocacy and lobbying, just like I was. I knew this was the place for me, and this is the place I was going to thrive and learn so much and make those meaningful connections with representatives and senators, because, we can be so disconnected from the government and the local government as well. So for me, I felt like if I could capitalize on that, I was fit for the position, and I hope to prove to you all that I'm fit for the position as well.
Senator Randall.
Thank you, Mr. President. My question is for both candidates. I'm going to say it first, then I'll clarify it for each candidate. What can we do to ensure that people get the relief they need as a result of various financial burdens caused by the pandemic, and continuing to promote health and safety measures? So let me clarify that for the OJA board of director candidates, OJA director candidates, specifically, what legislation is OGA and you personally thinking about championing in the Florida legislature or even on the local level related to that? Interested to hear your thoughts on the mask mandate in Leon County. For the candidate for Student Senate, what do you think the Student Senate can do? Is there committees you need to make? Is there legislation you would want to put forward?
Absolutely. This is a great question. And so I will answer the mask mandate. As a public health major and as someone who's planning to get their master's in public health as I graduate next year, I strongly believe that, whatever we can do to protect the people is what's most important. We saw that in the reaction to 9/11. We passed acts to make sure that, if we're going to violate people's privacy, it has to be for something that is going to keep the citizens protected over anything else. And so when those actions were taken, we prevented so many other measures from happening. We've had some tragedies, but those actions were able to prevent so many other tragedies from happening. I do believe that, we have seen the science, we can believe the science, we can believe the actions that have come out of these measures by making mask mandates. And they have shown to be very preventable in lower cases. In Florida right now, we've been a hot spot since for months now. And I believe, Leon County right now is at the highest COVID-19 population, the amount of people that have been tested positive since the beginning of the pandemic. And so that obviously needs to come into fruition to save those lives that we know are going to be devastated by this pandemic. And so I do believe that they are beneficial. And if I could do it at the snap of my fingers, I would. Other entities we're looking into, we've obviously seen, both at the federal level, session will be starting in March on the state level. Students have not been included in COVID-19 relief. And I think that's been pretty devastating. We really deserve the attention we deserve. We work just as hard. Many of us are working part-time or full-time jobs to, afford tuition. Bright Futures even is becoming harder and harder to get for students after they've worked so hard. Many students are only finding out in July when they're right about to step on campus if they're going to get Bright Futures. And so it really is really unfortunate. we, as a board, are trying to be really proactive in starting to work on these financial aid measures to make sure students are able to come back on campus, because we know the retention rate is going to be high for years after this pandemic. So, allocation to Bright Futures, unfortunately, there's not a bill introduced for that yet, but we're crossing our fingers there will be. If not, we're going to get in contact with some legislators and try to have them get a bill in there to allocate more funding to Bright Futures. I will also talk about Senate Bill 300. And so this bill talks about how aid for immigration, let me specifically think about it. Aid cannot be denied based on immigration status if all other criteria are met. That's something we really want to advocate for. And so that's definitely something we're working on putting on the legislative agenda. COVID-19 relief to students, which I've already talked about. And then, more allocation to the Care and Unconquered Scholars because, the Unconquered program. This program, if you're not familiar with, helps homeless students be able to afford coming to campus, also be able to have housing on campus. And so we just expand, not my work, but they just expanded so that they could have housing on breaks and so forth. So we really want to make sure those funding gets to those students who really need it. And so these have been conversations for long time coming, and COVID-19 has just brought into light that we need to work harder for those underrepresented communities, and so that's going to be a major part of our legislative agenda this year.
I think this is going to be very similar to what was previously just stated, but I definitely think we should create relief plans and bills and everything else. Create a fund that will allow students that are struggling with housing or food cost, whatever it may be, that are in need of those funds that they wouldn't otherwise get because either they are now on their own and they don't qualify for relief, or they are still with their parents and they don't qualify for relief. Whatever the problem may be, definitely advocate for those who need it the most and those who just need it in general. I feel like health also goes beyond just COVID physical health. It goes into mental health as well. So we definitely, with masks still being used, social distancing, everything else, we do need to, I know it's not necessarily in our power, but definitely push for other SGA organizations such as Hall Council and everything else, allow them to keep doing what they're doing. See if there's any way that we can push for them to have bigger but safe events, maybe more grab and go, that really push and advocate for people to feel better about themselves, feel safe. Obviously, everything needs to stay within COVID health as well and guidelines, but we do need to focus on mental health as well, because that is causing students a lot of stress, and with lack of human interaction, that's making things very, very difficult. So I feel like we need to push as much as we can to allow students to see people in person, but while remaining safe, because health with COVID is definitely going to be our top priority and should be our top priority. And make sure basically everything that, all those who are not financially sound and are in need, get the help that they need as well.
Senator Hunter.
Yes, my question is for Ms. Katu. Excuse me if I said your name wrong. So you mentioned multiple times advocating for marginalized groups, and that's something that we actually hear a lot in Senate, that people want to advocate for marginalized groups. So I'm wondering what intersectionality means to you, and what does it look like in your daily life? And then how do you plan to integrate that into Senate?
So I know, like I said earlier, I personally am a bisexual woman, so I definitely use that as one of my, or not use, but that is definitely one of my salient identities that I want to advocate for. But also, as previously stated, I'm an orientation leader, and my small group has a lot of people of color in there. My Stripe squad has a lot of people of color, and I would love to talk to them, see what they feel, how they feel safe. I'm so sorry, I'm stumbling on my words. If they feel safe, if they don't, what measures they feel that could go into place, see how I, as a senator, could introduce that with either bills or amendments, whatever it may be, to make sure that groups that I don't personally identify with are still getting the representation and respect and safety that they deserve and feel. And then the groups that I do identify with, such as the LGBT community and women and everything else, I can represent them hands-on or personally with bills and everything else as well.
Senator, I don't know who was first. Lassard.
All right, I was given permission to ask this question again by Senate President Harmon. Senate candidate Kotu, you were seen at a Turning Point USA event in December. Are you still involved with that organization?
I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable answering that.
Right. Senator Tackett.
Hey everyone, so I have a question for both candidates. Considering we go to a predominantly white institution, minority populations are in need of protection and support from their student government. Being so, I believe it's important for us to know whether both candidates support the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm just looking for a simple yes, no on that. And then I would also like to know how they would advocate for minority student populations on campus.
Thank you for your question. Yes, absolutely. And, I have gone over a couple of our pieces of, if you're specifically talking about what we're doing for legislative agenda, I will answer both. Legislative agenda wise, we are working for, aid for the students with immigration status who can't get financial aid, excuse me. And then also we're working on the statues for renaming campus buildings. I believe those both entail to both representing marginalized communities. And as a person, as someone who's, has seen the damage that has, prevailed due to the fact that we have systems in place that hurt these underrepresented communities, I am working harder as ever to try to educate people on that in my interpersonal life and also in the places I hold, because, again, at the end of the day, we are here on Senate tonight. We are, working to get these positions, but leadership and positions go beyond the places we show our face in a Zoom setting. It goes into our everyday conversations with people and with our institutions at hand. And so I strongly take it in every place I go. I have these conversations, whether they're hard or not, talking about the real institutions that are at play, hurting these marginalized communities. And so for me, it's not only a passion, it's a goal to try to shine light on these every day. And so in the actions I do, and also in my interpersonal life with friends, family, and so on, I carry that with me as well. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, I do support BLM. Also, like I said previously, as an orientation leader, I want to work hands-on. And since I am ignorant, I do have white privilege and am unaware of, aside from what is being said in the media and everything else, I don't know personally what is going on. So I want to talk to individuals that are actively either being discriminated against, oppressed, everything else, and have their outlook so I can do the best job that I could do if given the opportunity.
Senator Gonzalez.
Yes, this is a question to the Senate candidate. May I reserve a follow-up?
Yes.
Awesome. First off, I don't believe you kind of answered, can you, just again, maybe I missed it. Can you define what intersectionality means for you?
I'm sorry, I don't know how to answer that. And I'm sorry, I claim ignorance. I have not heard that term before, and I know that may sound crazy. So I don't know the best way to define that. But I definitely feel that everyone's voice should be heard, and it's very important that everyone has representation and that we are all connected. I'm sorry.
Okay. You're good. And then can you kind of define, you've touched a lot of different topics, but do you have any tangible legislation ideas? Do you have any tangible people you want to talk to or things that you want to do to support the topics that you're talking about?
I definitely want to create, I need to create the wording and bill and everything else, but a bill that will definitely push for more programs that allow people that are depressed or anxious, whatever it may be. Like I said, in this current political climate, with COVID and everything else, I have strong bad anxiety, so definitely mental health is a top priority for me. So I want to create programs and places where people can feel safe and have the, where people can have the places and routes that they can go to ensure that they're getting the proper care and need that they deserve.
All right, I think Senator Linsky is next.
This is again for Ms. Kutu. Let's say you were at an event for a random organization in December. What's the percentage chance that you were wearing a mask if you were photographed at that event?
I was wearing a mask the entire time, but in the photograph, I was not wearing a mask. We took the photographs off for the we took the mask off for the photograph, but after the photograph, I did put that back on.
Senator Duralde.
Yeah, I had a question for the Senate candidate, Kotu, in regards to your response to a previous senator, in regards to when you defined what you believed intersectionality was the first time, and when you kind of elaborated and said you're part of you were an OL, and you've interacted with a lot of, students who come from marginalized identities. You said that you want to support them, and you've listened to them, and you've heard what their concerns are, and you've heard kind of the situations that are facing them, and you want to support them. And so my question to you would be, what are those things that you heard well, and what is kind of your way that you intend to support those students? Hopefully that question wasn't too lengthy. If you need me to repeat any of it, I can definitely do so, but yeah.
No, you're fine. I'm sorry. I don't know if
Did I cut out or something?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I don't know if it was on my
Am I
end.
cutting out?
It's very glitchy. Okay.
Yeah, you might need to repeat the question. You were
Okay.
cutting out here and there.
I'm sorry. Do you hear me now at least better?
Yes.
Okay. So my question was related to, the fact that you responded to the question about how you define intersectionality, and, the reality that you support the individuals you worked with who are from marginalized identities. You had conversations with them. My question to you is, how do you intend to support them based off of those conversations? What did they tell you are their concerns that they need support from senators for? What are those issues that you heard from them that you want to tackle?
I know
Hopefully
today.
I wasn't cutting out this time.
Oh no, you're fine. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I did not mean to cut you off. No, today we were actually discussing how both as women and as people of color, they feel very unsafe walking around campus at times, especially at night. I know yesterday they felt very unsafe given that tomorrow's inauguration day and we live in northern Florida, which is a heavily conservative area. So I feel like we should put in place, I know we already have campus security and the blue lights and everything else, but we need to ensure that people have that safety net to go to, that people shouldn't feel unsafe. So if there's any possible way, we can either increase security or whatever it may be to that was just one thing that we talked about today. I wanted to further, if I did get appointed, go into deeper discussion. That was all the time that we were allotted for today because we were only given about 10 minutes to talk. So definitely with that, and then using my privilege, I know as a white woman, I am faced some discrimination, but not as much as people of color. So when situations are happening, obviously personally stand up as well. So I feel like we could just put things in place that allow people to feel safer, whether it be security or more organizations, groups, whatever it may be, to allow that sense of safety. I hope I answered it correctly. I apologize.
Senator Hunter.
Hi, my question is for the Senate candidate, and it is, what social groups are you in that you believe have influenced your perceptions of things such as race, gender, intersectionality, and marginalized groups?
I personally don't think I'm in any social groups that have altered my opinion. Like I said, I am bisexual, so I guess the LGBT community, but aside from that, I don't think my social perspective has really been influenced by any social groups that I'm actively in.
All right. Are there any senators wishing to either ask another question or make a motion? Senator Stoltz.
I'd motion to end questioning or.
You would say, is there a motion to forward the candidates individually? So
Yeah, there is a motion. Or I move to forward candidates individually.
there we go. Awesome. Senator Darleep.
So seconded.
Are there any objections? All right, seeing none, we will now go into the closing for the candidates. Give me 1 second to get the timer ready. All right, Ms. Cotu, you have 4 minutes and 5 seconds for your closing. You may begin whenever you're ready.
I would just like to say, regardless of the outcome, I very much appreciate your time and support and everything else. I greatly appreciate you taking time out of your meeting to hear me, and I hope that we can work together in the future to create a better and safer, diverse community for Florida State.
Thank you. And Senator Rudd, you have 2 minutes and 49 seconds whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Again, I really would like to thank you for all, your devotion to Florida State and, being here and serving in these positions. Students elected you here. We, chose to appoint you here and to be here to serve everyone and your specific communities. And I couldn't thank you all enough for all your service and everything you do. I know how much hard work it takes and the mental health toll and the tireless nights. And I've had such a great time being a senator with you all. If I'm forwarded tonight, I am so excited to continue to work with you all if I am forwarded. I would like to just add on to a couple things that I had not mentioned tonight about kind of what we're seeing for the legislative agenda. 95% of students voted in this past election, this presidential election, and that was only students that were registered. And so we really want to see a higher turnout on campus. And this is one of my favorite parts of the legislative agenda. So I had to share it with you all. We want to support legislation to increase voter accessibility. And specifically, this is House Bill 153. And this is automatic voter registration when you obtain a driver's license in the state of Florida. And also working on election day extension, which is House Bill 103. And that's if a pertinent situation comes up, you could have a longer time to vote. And so I could not be more ecstatic to have this opportunity to advocate for the student body, work with the amazing board of directors that we have for you all. I really highly encourage you to tell anyone and everyone you know about OGA because it is an unknown organization on campus and we really want everyone's voices to be heard. And so we are still working on the legislative agenda, and please, if I'm not forwarded for this position tonight, I will still be chief of staff. So reach out to me. I will be happy to talk to you. My door is always open. I really just want to thank you all for taking the time tonight. And I hope you consider me for OGA director. Thank you.
All right, we are now in line to vote. We'll start with the Senate candidate. This vote requires a 2/3 vote to pass, seeing as though it is a vacated office. I don't know what 2/3 is, but Pro Tempore Wayne can probably tell us.
Okay, we haven't found a better way of voting on Zoom, so everyone who wishes to vote yes, please raise your hands. Just to clarify, we're voting on the Senate candidate.
Yes, we are voting on, yeah, the Senate candidate. You already.
Okay, you guys can put your hands down. Everyone who wishes to vote no, please raise your hands. Okay, you guys can put your hands down. Anyone who wishes to abstain, please raise your hands. Senators Rudolph and Little, are you abstaining? Okay, 1 second. Let me tally up the votes.
Pro tempore Wang, I'm not sure if you voted, but you also get to vote. Okay, there.
Vote reads 19 yes, 21 no, and 2 abstentions. Candidate does not pass.
Unfortunately, Ms. Cochu, the Senate has not approved your nomination to undergraduate study seat 18, seeing as though it did not reach the 2/3 threshold. But I thank you for coming out and answering all the questions that we had for you tonight. Are there any comments or questions before you go?
I would just like to say thank you for hearing me, and I wish you guys the best.
All right. All right, and now we are going to vote on Senator Rudd for OGA Director.
Okay, same thing. Everyone who wishes to vote yes, please raise your hands. Okay, you guys can put your hands down. Everyone who wishes to vote no, please raise your hand. Senators Jay, Hitchcock, and Hunter, are you guys voting no? Okay, if you guys are wishing to abstain, please raise your hands. Okay, vote reads 42 yes, 0 no, 1 abstention. Candidate does pass.
Congratulations, Director Rudd. Unfortunately, you are leaving the Senate now, so that's kind of sad. Will the pro tempore please administer the oath to OGA Director Rudd?
All right, candidate or OGA Director Rudd, please raise your right hand. Candidates for student body offices may choose to replace the words "so help me God" with "on pain of impeachment" when taking the oath of office. Do you understand?
Yes.
I state your name.
I, Amabella Rudd,
Promise to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America.
promise to support and defend the United States Constitution of America.
The state of Florida.
State of Florida.
And the Florida State University student body.
And the Florida State University student body.
And I shall perform my duties to the best of my ability.
And I shall perform my duties to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. I'm going to miss you all so much.
Before you go, do you resign your seat from the Senate?
I sadly resign my seat from Senate, and I know it'll be filled by some super excited freshmen soon or better students. So.
All right, awesome. Congratulations. All right, moving on in the calendar. Those were awesome questions, everybody. Good job. Consent calendar. We have no consent resolutions for this week. Bills on first reading. Bill 1, sponsored by Senator Ramos and Gertz as primary sponsors. Villacorta, Rodriguez, Soto, Stoltz, Arut, Lassard, Precia, Murcia, Marcus, Flashman, Fineout, Nasworthy, Linsky, Tackett, Wang, and Roy, all as co-sponsors. Referred to SLAW, then Judiciary on 113, and amended and passed in SLAW. It is now in Judiciary. Bill 2, sponsored by Senator Villacorta, mandating the publication of minutes from any and all SGA meetings, referred to Judiciary, still in Judiciary. Bill 3, sponsored by Senator Villacorta, updating the list of major offices to preserve checks and balances and address conflicts of interest, referred to Judiciary. Bill 4, sponsored by Senator Villacorta, amending the candidate screening process, referred to Judiciary, then Oversight, still in Judiciary. Bill 5, sponsored by Senator Villacorta, refining the statutory definitions of majority and 2/3 to line up with Robert's rules and general best practices, referred to Judiciary, still in Judiciary. Bill 6, sponsored by Senator England, to outline the appointment process for Senate officers in Chapter 400.2 and establish the office of the Senate President, referred to Judiciary, still in Judiciary. Bill 7, sponsored by Senator England, to eliminate the conflict between Statute 304.3 and 400.2. This deals with the appointment process of candidates by the student body president and the appointment of Senate officers by the Senate President, referred to Judiciary, still in Judiciary. And Bill 8, sponsored by Senator Linsky, updating the elections code to resolve the contradicting statutes and provide procedural clarity. It says referred to Judiciary today, but I'm referring it to Judiciary today. I just wrote that preeminently. Bills on second reading, none. Constitutional amendments. Amendment 1, sponsored by Senator Villacorta, referred to judiciary, still in judiciary. Amendment 2, sponsored by Senator Villacorta, referred to judiciary, still in judiciary. Amendment 3, sponsored by Senator Villacorta, referred to judiciary, still in judiciary. And Amendment 4, referred to judiciary, sponsored by Senator Villacorta, referred to judiciary, then rules and calendar, still in judiciary. Resolutions on, not first reading, resolutions. Resolution 1, sponsored by Martin and Randall as primary sponsors and Lewis and Grunberger as co-sponsors, recognizing the riot that took place at the United States Capitol, referred to SLAW, then rules and calendar, amended and passed in SLAW, passed by acclamation in rules. Will the sponsors please raise their hands? Senator Darleek.
I had two motions that I wanted to make, but I can wait until after the this resolution is presented because you already asked for the sponsors.
Sorry about that. I remember you telling me about that. We'll move on.
No worries.
All right. Will the sponsors please raise their hands so I can unmute them? Or all the sponsors wishing to speak?
Hello. Senator Flashman isn't here to present, so it's just going to be me.
I can present too if you'd
Oh.
like, Sasha, but I'm just a co-sponsor.
Is that allowed? Yeah.
Oh, was that change where the sponsors?
Yeah, it was amended in committee. I don't know if you have the amended version then.
Yes, Pro Tempore Wang has the amended version, so whenever she can, she'll share it.
Okay.
All right. So, all right, you two will be the only sponsors here. Okay. Sponsors, you all have 5 minutes to present your resolution. Whatever you don't use for your resolution or for your opening will be reserved for your closing. You may begin whenever you're ready.
Okay. Thank you, Senate, for hearing this resolution. I think it's really important, especially it being the first one of the 73rd Student Senate. Oh yes, it's right there. So we decided to make a resolution after the events happened at the US Capitol. I think it's very important as a student senate to be able to acknowledge what happened and notice that it was a terrible thing that happened within the United States, and also that it happened within the Tallahassee community as well. I think it's also important to note that this calls for the police department to have a better, to increase their security measures as we are in Tallahassee. So making sure that we are safe in our own communities. And then also making sure that we're acknowledging the people who may be feeling traumatized after these events. I mean, it is really traumatic about what happened. So knowing that there's the University Counseling Center, things like the Resilience Project, case management to be able to talk to. And then we did some changes within SLAW from the group me that people wanted to see changed. We changed back to violent extremists. We had a very good debate about it in SLAW and thought that that would be more fit because of Senator Hunter's comments in SLAW saying that it might hurt the minority community if we consider using the latter half. And then Senator Randall, if you wanted to say anything, or no, we're good. Okay, I yield my time.
All right, thank you, Senator Martin. Are there any technical non-debatable questions for the sponsors? All right, seeing none, we will now move into the first round of pro. Is there anybody wishing to speak in the first round of pro? All right. Senator Darleek.
Yes, I wanted to move to amend the instances where it did say extreme. I believe it was changed to violent extremists. I did want to amend to state domestic terrorists in any instance that it was mentioned as such. And if the sponsors don't find it friendly, I'm more than willing to elaborate on why I believe that that is a more appropriate term to use instead of extremist.
All right, is there a second to that amendment? I believe that needs a second. Senator Gonzalez. Oh, okay, there we go.
So seconded.
Does the sponsor find it friendly? Oh,
I'm sorry, I muted myself. I wanted to make a point first, to acknowledge that we were.
well, wait, can
Wait,
we,
okay,
can we,
yeah.
wait a minute. Do you find it friendly?
Because if I don't find it friendly, I don't want to go into a debate. I just kind of want to like talk about our rationale behind it.
Okay, would you be open to tabling this and y'all talk about it and then we get back to it? That's the only way I'm thinking of, or we recess, but Senator Randall, you have a point.
Point of information, can we, excuse me, wow. Can I ask Senator Hunter to explain what she said in SLAW yesterday?
Okay, well,
Yeah, I don't.
we're in, okay, sponsor, do you find it friendly? We got to get past this point before we move
Okay. For now, I'm just going to say no.
on. All right. Seeing as though the sponsor doesn't find it friendly, we go into, oh, let me write down this time. The sponsor of the amendment will come forward and explain the amendment, correct? Yes, all right. So you, Senator Darrell Deek, you will have 5 minutes to explain your amendment. After that point, it will be saved for your closing. You may begin.
All right.
Ready.
All right, so with that, I did want to start off by acknowledging I had a conversation with the senator who brought up the article on why it was changed to extremist instead of terrorist. And, you know, for me, I don't mean to do this to be difficult in any way, but as someone who is Muslim and as someone who has been labeled as a terrorist multiple times throughout my life, I think it's important that when we actually see an act of terrorism on our own home, on our homeland. You know what I mean? Like you literally see an action taken against the Capitol where it was besieged by white supremacists and people who believed that the election was stolen, right? And so for me, that wasn't an act of terrorism. And so my community is constantly, and when I am mislabeled as a terrorist and asked multiple times throughout my life if I was someone who's a part of ISIS or if I'm someone who, you know, takes part in jihadism and they don't even understand that terminology, right? And so for me, this is about ensuring that we are labeling something as it is. You know, we're not going to sugarcoat it. We're not going to say they're violent extremists because no, they were domestic terrorists. And so for me, that's my reasoning behind, you know, wanting to push for this amendment. At first, I had acknowledged what the senator who suggested that you revoke it to, you know, I was feeling it. I was like, okay, I can understand why you'd want to label it as such. But then to me, it was like, we need to reclaim this term, you know? So this is not something that I take lightly. For me as a Muslim, as someone who is constantly mislabeled as something that I'm not, I think it is appropriate for us as a body to label something as it is and label it truthfully. So when you see terrorism, you call it what it is and you don't say that they're just extremists. So with that, I will yield to my closing statement.
Senator yields with 3 minutes and 16 seconds to his closing. Are there any technical non-debatable questions for this amendment or for the sponsor of this amendment? Senator Martin Point.
Oh wait, no, sorry. I was just raising my hand. Okay. So did you speak to Senator Hunter? Yes, okay.
All right, Senator Linsky.
This is for both. If the people who stormed the Capitol weren't white, would they be labeled domestic terrorists? Do you think they would be, at least?
So I think this question is more debatable, but if the president would want me to, speak upon it, I still will. And so that's up to the president, but
I mean,
I can answer.
yeah, it's okay. I think you're okay. I think it's all right.
All right. So with that being stated, if it were any group beyond white people, if it were a group of Black individuals, if it was a group of Muslims, if it was a group of Arabs, if it was a group of Latinos, there would have been so many derogatory labels attached to them immediately. They would not have even gotten the opportunity to be called extremists or violent protesters or whatever the terminology to lightly state something that occurred would be. Palestinians, Arabs, Muslims, like people who are from the Middle East are constantly mislabeled as terrorists, even if they don't follow the religion of Islam, even if they aren't even from a majority like Middle Eastern country, even if they're from, upper North Africa, where most of them have darker complexions, even though they're still part of the Middle East, they could still be labeled as terrorists. They'll be labeled not even as domestic terrorists, they would just be labeled terrorists, period. So to answer that, I would say if they were any group beyond white, I do believe that they would have been labeled with much harsher terminology. So yeah.
All right. Are there any more technical, non-debatable questions? That was probably a little bit debatable, but it's okay. All right. All right. Seeing none, we'll now move into the first round of pro. There is 2 minutes for the first round of pro. Senator Boole.
Did the sponsor respond to the question? I thought the question was for both the sponsor and the.
Well, we're on the amendment right now. So we're
it's only the
sponsor of the
amendment person. Okay. My bad.
Oh, okay. So no pro. All right. Senator Hunter.
Yeah, so I and Slaw mentioned how I read this Washington Post article that basically pointed to the idea, it was an opinion piece also, I want to point out, that whenever people are labeled as domestic terrorists and or white, it can often lead to maleffects on communities of color. However, after what Senator Darrell Deek just said, and I'm a big proponent of if someone is in a community, they should have the ability to reclaim a word or define what that word means if it's been negatively used for people who look like them or sound like them. So I want to say that I am in pro now of having this bill say domestic terrorists as it did before, for reasons of what Senator Darrell Deek said, and because it was an act of domestic terrorism. And if that person who is in a community that is often labeled terrorist does not believe that framing this as such will negatively impact their community, I think that they should have the right to call it whatever they would like. So that is my pro statement.
Thank you, Senator Hunter. There is 1 minute and 55 seconds in the first round of pro. Senator Linsky.
All right, I'm just going to put a logical premise out here. All terrorists are violent extremists. So why don't we call violent extremists terrorists? I mean, if you think back towards the implementation of this word, it's been pretty clear. It's a delineation based on skin color. And if we right now look at an attack on the Capitol, where the election was being certified, and say, well, no, that's not domestic terrorism, then essentially what we're saying is there is no such thing as domestic terrorism unless you're the wrong color.
All right, there is 1 minute and 35, or no, there's 35 seconds left in the first round of pro. Senator England.
Thank you. So I've taken a couple of the terrorism classes here at FSU, the public administration classes. Professor Castellet once said that the greatest threat, and the FBI said this actually, that the greatest threat the United States faced is and always will be domestic terrorism. And if this wasn't an act of domestic terrorism, I really don't know what is. And secondly, many of the mainstream media outlets have not been afraid to call this act of violence what it is, and they have used the terms domestic terrorist. And so if the mainstream media aren't afraid to do it, we shouldn't be afraid to do it either. So this is a great amendment and I support it.
There are 9 seconds in the first round of pro. Is there anybody else wishing to speak in pro? Oh, Senator Lassard.
I fully support this amendment. We need to pass it.
All right, there are 7 seconds in the first round of pro. Are there anybody else? Is there any other senators wishing to speak in the first round of pro? All right, seeing none, we are now in the first round of con. Are there any senators wishing to speak in the first round of con on the amendment? Senator Lassard, I'm assuming that was just by accident. Yeah, there we go. All right, seeing none, Senator Gonzalez.
I move to call the question on the amendment.
All right, is there a second? Senator Marcus?
So seconded.
Are there any objections? All right, seeing none, the sponsor of the amendment has 3 minutes and 16 seconds reserved for his closing. You may begin it whenever you're ready.
Yeah, thank you all for hearing me out. Hopefully I'm not cutting out again because it looks like your faces are frozen. But I did want to say that, when it comes to terrorism, when it actually occurs, that's something that I don't take lightly because that's not something that
I think he cut out. I'm going to pause his time and let him reconnect. Oh, okay. Oh, there he is. Oh, okay. All right, I paused your time, so you're good.
yeah, my connection's been a little unstable tonight.
All right, you have 2 minutes and 55 seconds. You may continue.
All right, yeah, I was just saying that, when it comes to terrorism, that's not something I take lightly. So for me to label something as such, I think it's important that, we're not taking that lightly. And so even beyond that, I did hear a comment mentioned where if we do label it as such, it could be harming, communities of color, it could be harming Muslim communities, it could be harming Arab communities. The fact of the matter is we've already been harmed. We've already had legislation and had things put upon us and against us because of where we're from and who we are. So I don't think that this could do more harm than we've already seen. So with that being said, I do yield.
Thank you, Senator Jarl-Deek. We will now be in line to vote. Yes is to pass the amendment and amend the resolution as Senator Jarl-Deek wants it, or no, to not amend it and leave it the same. And then abstain is abstain. Will the pro tempore do the voting?
Okay, if you guys would like to vote yes on this amendment, please raise your hands. Okay, you guys can put your hands down. Those wishing to vote no, please raise your hands. And those wishing to abstain, please raise your hands. Okay, vote reads 39 yes. Oh, Senator Rossi, is that an abstention? Oh, okay. Vote reads 39 yes, 0 no, 2 abstentions. Amendment passes.
All right, resolution 1 is now amended to read, pro tempore Wang has the copy, so yes. Now we are back on in the first round of pro with 2 minutes left. Yeah, we never even spoke in pro, so. Senator Villacorta.
I have 2 amendments I'd like to propose. I can send them in the chat if that would be easier.
Sure, whichever is the easiest way.
All right, give me 1 second. The first is adding a section to the whereas clauses.
Mhm.
This is from I'll send it right now. This is from the FBI director's testimony to the Senate Committee on Homeland Security. And then the second is a be it further resolved. I can send the contents of that right now. Basically asking the university to designate domestic terrorism, white supremacist terrorism as research priorities.
All right, is there a second to that amendment? Senator Gonzalez.
So seconded.
Does the sponsor find it friendly?
Yes, I find it friendly.
All right, are there any objections to this amendment? All right, seeing none, the amendment is adopted as is. And yeah, so we're now back on resolution 1 as amended in the first round of pro with a total of 2 minutes left. Anybody wishing to speak in the first round of pro? Senator Villacorta, is that still pro? Okay. Okay. All right, seeing nobody wishing to speak in the first round of pro, we'll move into the first round of con. Are there any people, any senators wishing to speak in the first round of con? Seeing none, is there a motion? Senator England?
I move to pass by acclamation. Oh wait, we can't, can we? Because it's does it condemn?
Yeah, a condemnation requires a two-thirds
Then
vote.
I just move to call the question. I would like to pass by acclamation, but I move to call the question.
All right, is there a second? Senator Marcus? Senator Marcus?
In the same sentiment as Senator England, I second.
All right, are there any objections to calling the question? All right, seeing none, the sponsor has 2 minutes and 52 seconds to their closing. You may begin whenever you're ready. Let me just unmute you.
Sorry, I keep muting myself. So thank you everyone for putting your amendments in. I really appreciate us being able to collaborate, and no ill will toward saying no for the domestic terrorists. We just had a conversation in SLAW, and I wanted to make sure that the voices that wanted that change to be heard, which they were, so we're good. But yeah, I hope that you all can vote yes on this resolution. I think we had the necessary conversations to be able to pass it. So I am excited, hopefully, for your votes. And that's all from me.
Sponsor yields their closing. We are now in line to vote. Yes is to pass as amended, no is to not pass it. And this needs a 2/3 vote. Senator Marcus. Oh, are y'all voting? Yeah, okay, y'all are voting.
Yeah, please raise your hands if you wish to vote yes. Okay, y'all can put your hands down. Okay, those wishing to vote no, please raise your hands. Senator Randall, is that a no? Okay, if you wish to abstain, please raise your hands. Okay, vote reads 39 yes, 0 no, 2 abstentions. Resolution does pass.
Congratulations to the sponsors. All right. I understand Senator Darrell Deek has a motion. We'll go ahead with that motion before we move forward. Senator Darrell Deek.
Yes, I had two motions, Mr. President. For the first motion, I wanted to move to add a resolution on to first reading. And I do ask that, well, I can do this in my second motion, but I'm adding it because I felt a need to add a resolution to clarify something that was in one of my prior resolutions that was said to be vague. And so I wanted to elaborate on the reasoning it was added into the original resolution. So I drafted this one.
Okay.
Sent email, by the way, to everybody so they have a copy of it, as well as submitted it through the Qualtrics form. So you can have it through that process as well.
All right. Just give me a second to read it before I assign it. If you hear like banging noises, that's my dog. I don't know what he's doing. All right. All right, I will be sending that to, this will be labeled Resolution 10. I know Resolution 10 was on the calendar earlier, but that was a double of Resolution 1, so it's been removed. So this will be known as Resolution 10. And based on like the general view that I've seen, I will send this to Slaw, then Rules. I have not had time to read this in full, so I apologize for that. Yeah, I'm like debating whether or not it goes to rules because I don't know if it specifically. Okay,
There's
well,
no
I'm
way
gonna send it.
to
Huh? I'm
it's
gonna
okay. I
send it
can
to
wait.
rules anyways, just to have the chairs look over it. Hopefully, whatever. All right, so that will go to Slaw and Rules. And your other motion.
Yes. So I would like to move that based off of Rule 5.8 A, that you reconsider the referral of Resolution 7, 8, and now 10 to Rules and Calendar due to the fact that neither of the three resolutions they don't reach the standard that Section 5.8C in Rules as well as Statute 401.1A state in regards to condemnation for them to be sent to the Rules and Calendar Committee.
Hmm. All right, so upon reading those rules as well, it says any senator can move to appeal a referral by the president and suggest a different or additional committee to hear this bill. So which different committee or additional committee are you requesting to it be moved to?
Well, just to stay in SLAW and remove the Rules and Calendar Committee from all three of those resolutions.
I'm hesitant on resolution 8. And then you said 9, right?
No, 7, 8, and 10.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
9 has denunciation in it, and denunciation is the same as condemnation.
All right. I will accept that motion on resolution 7. I see that it doesn't condemn anyone to my knowledge. Yeah. Okay. So resolution 7 will be removed from going to rules and will stay in SLAW. But resolution 8, I will keep in rules and calendar, and 10, I will keep in rules and calendar.
I did want to ask, Mr. President, I guess it would be a point of order in regards to, I believe that my motion would need a second, and it needs a majority vote of the Senate for you to be able to, I guess, accept the motion.
Okay. I'm just not used to this process, so still learning. All right, so is there a second to that motion we're gonna do it by resolution? Well, I mean, I'm only moving 8, 7, I guess. So is there a second, Senator Gonzalez?
So seconded.
All right, are there any objections? Senator Randall?
I think that it would go straight to a vote. I'm not sure if it's debatable, but
I don't know if it's debatable or not either.
Yeah, okay, you're right. All right. We will now vote. This requires a simple majority to switch it from being in rules to no longer in rules, or to accept that decision.
Okay, everyone who wishes to vote yes on the reconsideration, please raise your hands.
Now this vote is for resolution 7 to take it out of rules, just to clarify. Yes means you accept my decision, no means no. Or no means to not, I guess, to not allow me to.
Okay, guys, stop changing your votes.
Yes means, okay, let me clarify for everybody else because I'm getting a lot of questions. Okay, yes means you're allowing me to reconsider it and stop it from going to rules and leave it only in SLAW. Now, if you vote no, that is not allowing me to change it. So it is up to you.
Okay, put your hands down. Everyone wishing to vote no, please raise your hands. Okay, those wishing to abstain, please raise your hands. Vote reads 27 yes, 8 no's.
All right. With that, can I make another motion, Mr. President?
Yes, go ahead.
I would like to move based off of Rule 5.8 A to change the referral of Resolution 8 to, instead of being to SLAW and Rules and Calendar, to strictly be to the Student Life and Academic Affairs Committee, due to the fact that Resolution 8 does not condemn anywhere. The Senate is not condemning anywhere in that resolution any organization, entity, or person. There is, I believe it says condemn 2 separate instances in that resolution. However, those are quotes from the United Nations. It is not any direct language that I inputted, and it is not any language that will be asking the Student Senate to condemn any group or individual.
All right, is there a motion to, or no, sorry, you already did the motion. Is there a second to that motion, Senator Stoltz?
Seconded.
All right, are there, no objections? Or, well, yeah, no, we didn't do objections. All right, and now we could just go straight into a vote.
All right, those wishing to vote yes, please raise your hands. Okay, those wishing to vote no, please raise your hands. Okay, those wishing to abstain, please raise your hands. Okay, we're gonna do the yes vote again because a lot of you guys did not vote. So those wishing to vote yes, please raise your hands. All right, vote reads 26 yes, 8 no's, and 0 abstentions.
All right, with that, Mr. President, can I make a final motion?
Just a clarification, this just gives me the power to switch it, correct? Like, that's what I'm understanding from the rules.
Like from my interpretation, I thought it was just an opportunity for senators to make the motion, and then if the majority of the Senate interprets it and accepts it, then it is automatically accepted. I don't think it falls on you anymore.
Okay.
But if my interpretation is wrong, then you can correct me.
All right, we'll let the vote pass as is. So it will be removed from rules and calendar on behalf of the Senate.
Can I make a final motion, Mr. President?
Yep.
With that being stated, Resolution 10, which was just added onto the calendar, I would like to move to remove the referral of it to the Rules and Calendar Committee as well, due to the fact that in the language of the resolution, there is no condemnation of any group, organization, or individual. In fact, that resolution is just to clarify the harms that the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism can have on communities. And then in the be it further resolved, it is even used to urge the executive branch, the student senate, as well as the university administration to work together in unison to find a better definition that can better support the communities who are affected by it.
All right, after further discussion, it is up to my interpretation that this motion only allows me to switch it from committee, and it just gives me the power to switch it. So I will not be moving it from rules and calendar for resolution 8. Resolution 10, I will accept that motion because I'm gonna be honest, I'm not entirely sure where it should go. And I know SLAW is the right place to go for that one. So that one we don't really need to re-vote on because it's in the same committee meeting. So I can just do it as we did last week. Okay, whatever, we'll do the process. Is there a second for that motion? Senator Gonzalez.
So seconded.
All right, we are now in line to vote on that motion for resolution 10.
Okay, those of you wishing to vote yes, please raise your hands. If you have not voted and you wish to vote yes, please raise your hand. Okay, those of you wishing to vote no, please raise your hands. Okay, those wishing to abstain, please raise your hands. Okay, vote reads 26 yes, 9 no's, 0 abstentions.
All right, I will be withdrawing the referral to rules, so resolution 10 will only go to SLAW. Point, Senator Dahl-Deek.
I had a point of inquiry, I believe, and then I would like to have another point depending on the response for the point of inquiry. So for the point of inquiry, I am inquiring on on resolution 8. So because the Senate majority voted in favor, doesn't that automatically mean that it's going to be sent just to SLAW, or because that's where I'm that's
My
my
understanding of the rule, it gives me the power to either to change the referral. That's all I understand it as. It says any senator can move to appeal a referral by the president and suggest a different or additional committee to hear the bill. So first of all, based on my interpretation, it suggests a different or additional committee. We can't remove a committee. It doesn't say that. Such motions require a majority vote to pass, so we did that. This provision shall not be interpreted as limiting the president's discretion to refer any measure to any other committees. So it doesn't limit me from referring it to other committees or any committee. It just gives me the power to change it. That's my understanding of it. You may disagree, but that's how I'm reading it as. Did that answer it a little bit better?
Yeah, I'll allow the other senators who have their hands up before I make another point if I feel it's
Senator
necessary.
Randall, you have a point?
Point of order. I believe that motion to move resolution 7 out of rules and calendar is in violation of student body statute 401.1A. And the reason why is because it says the words do not condone, quoting roughly from Senator Villacorta in rules just a few minutes ago, any action of disapproval is what the Senate uses. That's what we call condemn or condone. I think that definitely applies. Do not condone is definitely the same as condemn.
You're talking about
Condone by definition, the word condone and condemn.
You're talking about resolution 7 or 8?
7, just 7.
Okay, because I'm doing like a search and there's no condone at all in there. Point of something, Darley?
Yeah, it was a point of clarification. It does say we do not condone the second whereas. And the point of clarification was to state that by stating we do not condone, in no way, shape, or form is suggesting that we disapprove or are condemning the IHRA definition. It is just a statement in the sense that we do not like, I don't know how to describe the word. Maybe Senator Linsky could use his terminology a little better than I can, but.
Just a little clarification. When we're talking about we do not condone, that is resolution 8. Unless I am incorrect, I am not finding anything that says we do not, like I'm literally searching it in resolution 7. We're talking about resolution 8, correct? Like I'm really lost here. Unless you're reading a different resolution 7.
You're right, I was reading the wrong one.
Okay, all right. That's all I needed was that point, Senator Linsky.
I guess this is moot now, but there's not a bright line between condoning something and condemning it. There's a range of things that exist between condoning and condemning. To say that you don't condone something doesn't automatically mean that you condemn it. Otherwise, anything that I don't condone, I would condemn. And I don't really think I have that power as a person. And speaking as a Jewish person, if I don't condone the IHRA definition of the Holocaust, then am I condemning my own Jewry? I don't think so. I don't think it tracks.
All right, Senator Villacorta.
Yeah, also just an additional point of clarification, echoing Senator Linsky's sentiments. In rules, I'd mentioned that condemn is the language we use legislatively most frequently to express outright disapproval. I never really spoke on the word condone. There's obviously a big gap between condoning, condemning, not condoning. So just wanted to clarify that.
All right, let's move on. All right. Point, Senator Darley. Oh, did I not unmute you? Oh, I thought I did.
Sorry, I don't mean to halt the Senate, but for me, I just wanted to, I guess it would be a point of, or no, it's a motion, I guess, because I wanted to move to overrule the decision of the chair in regards to not allowing resolution 8 to be set to just rules, just to SLAW instead of SLAW and rules. If that's the appropriate way of making the motion, please inform me. If not, I can restate it and cite a statute if necessary.
I think that's the most correct route, so yes. Are you gonna make it or?
Oh yeah, I make that motion.
Okay.
Apologize.
All right, is there a second to that motion? Senator Gonzalez.
So seconded.
All right, I believe this just requires a majority vote as per usual. So we are now in line to vote. Senator or Pro Tempore Wang.
Okay, if you wish to vote yes, please raise your hands. Okay, those wishing to vote no, please raise your hands. Those wishing to abstain, please raise your hands. Vote reads 21 yes, 11 no, 2 abstentions.
This was on resolution 8, correct? All right. It won't go to rules, it'll go to slaw. All right, let's move on. Congratulations, well, not congratulations, sorry. Senator Randall.
Chair, I'm going to say it's a point of order. You can tell me to do a motion instead. Again, I do think it's the same. The quote definition of condone is quote to regard or treat something or as bad as unacceptable, unforgivable, or harmful in a negative term, like do not condone. And the definition of condemn is, quote, to declare reprehensible, wrong, or evil, usually after weighing evidence without reservation. I think the easiest way to settle this is just to bring it to the Supreme Court. They can rule on it, have an advisory opinion, and I'll fully accept their advisory opinion.
All right, y'all are making this real difficult here. I am.
So
Yeah,
I
honestly,
guess I'm motioning to table the resolution until the Supreme Court weighs in an advisory opinion.
Well, okay, we're not even there in the calendar. So can we just wait until we get there? And then we'll deal with it then.
Sure.
And then secondly, I can't change it back to rules now.
My point of order is that it's a violation of student body statutes.
Okay. And that would probably be something up to the Supreme Court because I don't decide on statutes. So, point, Senator Jarldeek.
I just wanted to make a final point, and hopefully it can put this to rest. In regards to the statute he is referring to, which is 401.1A, where it does say that resolutions that are condemning an organization, an individual, or a community, I forget what the 3 criteria are, should be sent to Rules and Calendar. However, the language does not in any instance say that they are condemning, like the senator himself said, that condemning is when you're declaring something evil. I am not declaring that the IHRA definition is evil. However, I am not condoning it in the sense that it is something that is bad for people. That is the stance that I'm taking with it. It is in no way, shape, or form intended to condemn the definition itself. It is just to state that it can cause harm.
Point of clarification.
Point, Senator Randall.
Thank you. Point of clarification, it was just to make sure Senator Darrell Deek knows it was reprehensible, wrong, or evil. I wasn't necessarily saying it was evil. I don't think you would have that malicious intent, of course, obviously not.
All right, we will return to the calendar if there are no more motions, points, questions, comments, concerns. I would like to get on track, and we will get to those resolutions further down. All right, Resolution 2, sponsored by Senator Villacorta and Murcia, 73rd, referred to Rules and Calendar, amended and passed in Rules and Calendar. Pro Tempore Wang has the amended version. Will Senator Villacorta, or will the sponsors of Resolution 2 please raise your hand so I can unmute you? All right. Will Senator Murcia be presenting as well? Don't know if she's here. Okay. All right, sponsor, you have 5 minutes for your opening. You may begin whenever you're ready.
Thanks. All right, so Resolution 2 basically was amended in rules a little bit. I think it changed a little bit of the intent, but ended up finding it friendly. And so this resolution basically mentions that a lot of members of the student body, including some members of the student government, took a pledge through the Pledge CLH campaign, as you can see in the first whereas, to carefully follow public health guidelines, avoid high traffic areas or situations like house parties, crowded restaurants and bars, where physical distancing is impossible, to reduce the spread of COVID-19. You know the gist. So with something a lot of students I know have been contacting myself and other senators about is the repeated frequency with which they've seen many of the members of the student body not following these guidelines, putting a lot of people at risk, not just within the FSU community, but the Tallahassee community as a whole. Especially with in-person classes starting up, there is now going to be more contact than there was previously between people. The university has some pretty good guidelines. CDC has some stricter guidelines. But the resolution mentions the poverty rates in Tallahassee. 32304 is the poorest zip code in Florida, which, obviously, as I'm sure you all know, poverty and lack of health insurance makes access to healthcare, especially critical care, very, very difficult, if not impossible. As much as the university tries to require health insurance, there are a lot of students at the school who do not have access to medical care, as well as members of the community. The actions of the 40,000 students at FSU affect Tallahassee enormously. There are a lot of people who are forced to work because they cannot take off time to avoid COVID, who are immunocompromised, who have health issues, who are now being exposed by students who are not following the COVID CDC and FSU guidelines. So some of the amendments that were made in rules were to remove executive branch and change it to student body, since the members of the executive branch are also part of the student body. I'm sure you guys can debate that and talk about that if you'd like. The other amendment that was made was also updating the death tolls and infection rates. Unfortunately, since this was initially submitted, about an additional 1,500 people have died in the state of Florida as a result of COVID-19. As someone who is severely immunocompromised and knowing a lot of other students who are, it's a very scary time. I get how hard the pandemic is, and I know a lot of other students do too. But especially with the vaccine rollout, we're at the 1 yard line. So this is just encouraging the student body to remember the pledge that a lot of them took and to adhere to CDC guidelines, so we can hopefully get through this with as few additional severe health issues and fatalities as possible. I yield the rest of my time to my closing.
Senator yields 1 minute and 57 seconds to his closing. Are there any technical non-debatable questions for the sponsor? All right, seeing none, we are now in the first round of pro. Is there anybody wishing to speak in the first round of pro? Senator England. Oh, lost your faces. There we go.
Just a very quick point of clarification that a senator pointed out to me. The resolution on the calendar says that it condemns members of the executive branch. And I just want to clarify that we removed all mentions of the executive branch and student government as a whole in rules and calendar. That was one of the amendments that we made. So just know that the calendar is a little bit outdated in the fact that it no longer condemns the executive branch. Thanks.
All right, Senator Gonzalez.
Yeah, I move to amend the resolution where it says student body in those various instances. I move to add, including those within the student governance and advocacy. I think it's very important that we hold the people that represent the student body accountable. And if they're not doing their jobs, why are they representing and being leaders in the poor zip code in Florida? So I think that's very important. I will send that in the chat.
All right, is there a second to that amendment? Senator Stoltz, Senator Marcus?
So seconded.
All right, are there any objections to that amendment? Okay. Seeing none, or does the sponsor find it friendly?
I do.
All right, it is amended.
Although, if I could point out one thing, would we be able to remove the between within and student just for grammatical purposes?
I think Pro Tempore Wang can do that.
Cool.
All right. Senator Marcus, are you wishing to speak in first? Oh, point.
Point of clarification for those of you who may not have seen it, there were multiple members of the current executive branch who literally posted club promotions to their story and their social media.
All right, are there any senators wishing to speak in the first round of pro? Senator Stoltz?
Yeah, I'd actually like to move to amend. Where it says, I believe the ICU capacity, and just get that more up to date, if that's possible.
Do you happen to?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, as of 120, so that's today, 5.56%. That's according to the Agency for Healthcare Administration.
So you're amending the just percentages that are there to 5.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is there a second to that amendment? Senator Darrell Deek?
I'm not sure. I'll second. I had something else, but I'll second.
All right. Does the sponsor find it friendly?
I do. Thank
Are
you,
there any
Senator Stoltz,
objections?
for finding those updated stats.
Are there any objections? All right, seeing none, the amendment is adopted. Are there any senators wishing to speak in the first round of pro on resolution 2? Senator Darrell Deek.
I just had a point of, I guess, inquiry for the sponsors. I'm just curious as to why there was the striking in regards to the executive branch when it talks about they were condemning them for doing actions that weren't, they weren't supposed to be taking as leaders and as examples. And I'm just curious as to why the language was amended. Because if they were taking part in things that they shouldn't have, I'm just curious as to, yeah, my point of inquiry would just be the reasoning behind the striking and changing of the language.
Sure. So some of the points brought up in rules were that it seemed as if, I don't really supposed to mention names, but that a member of the executive branch was being targeted for their behavior. The opinion of some members of rules was also that given that some members of the executive branch are also members of the student body, saying student body would be more appropriate. And the other kind of main argument was that we shouldn't be holding the student government to a different standard than the student body. I didn't necessarily agree with all these, but I ended up finding it friendly for the purpose of having it come to the Senate floor. So hopefully you all could debate and decide what would be best for the Senate.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Marcus.
Yeah, so speaking in pro, I just think that this is an important thing to be brought to the floor. We need to make sure that we as student leaders and student advocates need to be practicing what we preach. The virus has affected me personally in many ways. I'm not going to get into personal details on the floor, but I personally think that combined with the fact that I personally believe that the city of Tallahassee is not a playground for students, there are community members here who are immunocompromised and at risk for this very deadly virus. And I think I know that we cannot control the actions of others, specifically outside of these chambers, but I do think we need to make sure that we are practicing what we preach, especially if we advertise something such as Pledge TLH.
All right, there is 1 minute and 10 seconds in the first round of pro. Are there any other senators wishing to speak in the first round of pro? All right, seeing none, we are now in the first round of con. Are there any senators wishing to speak in the first round of con? Seeing none, is there a motion? Senator Darlik.
If there's no language that condemns, I would like to move to pass by acclamation, but if there is language condemning, I will move to call the question.
Not entirely sure what they removed. Did they remove condemned pro tempore Wang?
No, they didn't.
Okay.
All right, so I'll move to call the question.
All right, is there a second? Senator Marcus?
So seconded.
Are there any objections? All right, seeing none, sponsor, you have 1 minute and 57 seconds for your closing. You may begin. Oh, I gotta unmute you, Duh.
Thanks. So I definitely understand where some of you are coming from with wanting to make the amendments. I get the concern. I get how, on a kind of unrelated but sort of related note, I get how hard it can be to hold friends accountable, specifically in this time. I've had to do it myself to a couple very close friends, and it can be difficult. But a lot of people on FSU's campus don't necessarily know how much they affect Tallahassee. They don't know how much they affect the people who live here and who are here before and after the 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, however long we're here. They also don't know what it's like for some of the students who are immunocompromised in one way or another. I know several students, in addition to myself, who have been told by their healthcare providers that if they contract the virus, they are not likely to survive. That can be very scary for people to hear as an 18, 19, 20 plus year old student. And it's made even scarier by the people around you, whether they're roommates, classmates, whoever, not taking it seriously. In addition to that, there are severe health effects that have affected student athletes, particularly. We've seen at several universities, as well as students who may have underlying health conditions they don't know about, who are made more vulnerable and just made plain unsafe by the actions of members of the community. So I hope this can be kind of a rallying cry for SGA as well as the entire student body to really try to hold the line until we can all get vaccinated and hopefully get past all this, and to remain healthy, not just for yourselves, but for all the people around you whose names you'll probably never know, who may be in much greater harm than the average person. Thank you, and I yield.
Senator yields with 0 minutes and 0 seconds. We are now in line to vote. Will pro tempore Wang please do the vote?
Please raise your hands if you wish to vote yes on resolution 2. Okay, those wishing to vote no, please raise your hands. Those wishing to abstain, please raise your hands. All right, vote reads 32 yes, 0 no, 0 abstentions. Resolution 2 does pass.
Congratulations, Senator Villacorta. All right, moving on in the calendar. Resolution 3, sponsored by Senator Villacorta, amending Rule 10.17 in Senate Rules of Procedure, referred to Rules and Calendar, and passed in Rules and Calendar. Please welcome the sponsor to the floor. Welcome back, Senator Villacorta.
Good to be back. So Resolution 3, this is a little bit of history. In the 71st Senate, I believe, we had a Senate award that was named after a longtime SG&A staff member. The Senate award was named, it was given out, and then shortly thereafter, a student came forward and said that that person had used discriminatory language and made them feel not very welcome at FSU and within SG&A. So as a response to that, then Senator Alvarez wrote a procedure in our rules to create a naming ad hoc committee. So anytime the Senate would want to name something, whether it be an award, whenever our new chambers are built, that room, we basically, it also applies to agencies and bureaus, we would convene a naming ad hoc. It was his wish, fortunately he never got to see it fulfilled before his term ended, but that the naming ad hoc, after it had been used, the first time it was, be removed because of how it ended up operating. So the naming ad hoc added a lot of bureaucracy and red tape to what could very easily be done by senators just doing the work and talking to their communities about how proposed namings would affect them, how they'd feel about them. This would essentially remove that from our rules. However, should the Senate feel the need to convene an ad hoc committee to talk about a certain naming of an award or something, we can absolutely do that. There's still provisions for the Senate president to create any ad hocs they see fit upon petition of the student Senate. There are also provisions for overturning the decision of the chair should they decide not to make that ad hoc. So the Senate still has the power to convene an ad hoc committee on naming if they choose. This would just remove it from our rules, so it's not a requirement, so that if there is something that we want to name that is uncontroversial or that we have heard very good student feedback from, it wouldn't be necessary to create this whole weeks-long process of setting up an ad hoc and going through all the bureaucracy. So this essentially clears up our rules, makes things a lot easier, and still is able, and we're still able to accomplish what we would have been able to with this rule, with the rules we already have in place. Thank you, and I yield the rest of my time to my closing.
Sponsor yields 2 minutes and 48 seconds to his closing. Are there any technical non-debatable questions? All right, Dr. Bowden, just quick thing, Dr. Bowden's Zoom froze, so he'll probably be back soon if he hasn't left already. All right, anyways. Technical non-debatable questions. Are there any from any senators? All right, seeing none, we are now in the first round of pro. Are there any senators wishing to speak in the first round of pro? Senator Gonzalez.
Yeah, I think this is common sense because I believe former Senator Dean actually sponsored, he was a primary sponsor on renaming the Excellence Award, I think, after Dr. Acosta. And I don't think that namings committee was ever even started. It just passed. So, I mean, since we already kind of ignored the rule, I guess might as well update it so we don't have to do that. So with that, I yield.
All right, there is 1 minute and 35 seconds in the first round. I'm sorry, 1 minute and 45 seconds in the first round of pro. Are there any other senators wishing to speak? All right, seeing none, we are now moving into the first round of con. Are there any senators wishing to speak in the first round of con? Seeing none, is there a motion? Senator Marcus?
If there are no objections, I move to pass by acclamation. If not, I move to call the question.
Unfortunately, we can't do that with a rule change. So if you'd like to make a new motion.
I move to call the question then.
All right, awesome. Is there a second? Senator Stoltz?
So seconded.
Are there any objections? All right, seeing none, sponsor, you have 2 minutes and 48 seconds left for your closing. You may begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you, and I yield.
All right, thank you. We are now in line to vote. Pro Tempore Wang may count the votes.
Please raise your hands if you're wishing to vote yes on resolution 3. If you wish to vote yes on this and have not done so, please raise your hand. Okay, those wishing to vote no, please raise your hands. Those wishing to abstain, please raise your hands. Right. Vote reads 33 yes, 0 no's, 3 abstentions. Resolution does pass.
Congratulations, Senator Villacorta. All right, resolution 5, sponsored by Senator Villacorta, to clarify how to handle senators' absences from meetings referred to rules and calendar passed in rules in calendar. Yeah, this one was, oh, I'm sorry, I skipped over one. Resolution 4, sponsored by Senator Villacorta, amending Senate structure and composition about who should run the meeting during the transition of Senate and vacancies referred to rules and calendar, currently tabled in rules and calendar. Resolution 5, sponsored by Senator Villacorta, to clarify how to handle senators' absences from meetings referred to rules and calendar, passed in rules and calendar. Please welcome the sponsor to the floor. Welcome back, Senator Villacorta.
Thank you. So am I good to go?
Yep, you have 5 minutes for your opening.
All right, so the way, for those of you who don't know, that absences currently work, and this is something that was kind of dealt with a lot in the 72nd, when a senator exceeds their allotted amount of absences, they are then called to the Rules and Calendar Committee for a hearing. At that hearing, they are interviewed about why they've been absent, and if they feel they can continue their duties as a senator in, by showing up. If the committee decides that they have valid reasons for their excessive absences, they are then reinstated. If the committee decides they do not have valid reasons, then they are forwarded for impeachment to the Judiciary Committee. Now, the kind of major problem with this is that if a senator then has an immediate absence after that, they are then suspended and have to go back to the rules and calendar for review. So something we'd seen happen was 2 senators who had a big exam on Thursday and couldn't make it to Senate. So they had to come back to rules and calendar for another hearing to go over that. So what this amendment does is adds a provision to the rule that the committee can vote to decide how many additional absences that senator will be allowed. So if a senator says, I've hit my absence limit, but I have a test that I have to be, I really have to study for a big test, so I'm going to be absent from Senate, and I have a doctor's appointment the next week. They would then be allotted 2 extra absences, or however many the committee decides would be appropriate. And then once they've fulfilled those absences, then they'd be called back. So it's not an immediate, if you miss a committee meeting, you're called back in. This will allow rules and calendar to function more efficiently by not getting gummed up with absences, which hopefully won't happen for a while, but also allows them to work with senators who may be experiencing some sort of personal hardship or academic hardship that would allow for a little extra wiggle room in how many absences they're allowed. I yield the rest of my time by closing and look forward to your questions.
Sponsor yields 2 minutes and 58 seconds to his closing. Are there any technical non-debatable questions for the sponsor? All right, seeing none, we'll move into the first round of pro. Is there anybody wishing to speak in the first round of pro? Seeing none, we'll move into the second round of or first round of con. Is there any senator wishing to speak in the first round of con? Seeing as though there are no con speakers, I'll entertain a motion to, vote on it. A motion to call the question.
I move to call the question.
Is there a second? Senator Stoltz?
So seconded.
Are there any objections? All right, seeing none. Sponsor, you have 2 minutes and 58 seconds for your closing. You may begin.
I yield. Thank you.
Sponsor yields. We are now in line to vote. Will the pro tempore please administer the vote?
If you wish to vote yes, please raise your hand.
To clarify, this is on resolution 5.
Okay, those wishing to vote no, please raise your hands. Those wishing to abstain, please raise your hands. Okay, vote reads 35 yes, 0 no, 0 abstentions. Resolution is passed.
Congratulations to the sponsor, Senator Villacorta. We will now move on to resolution 6, sponsored by Senator Villacorta. Student Senate believes that the Florida State University Administration and Student Government Association must begin to reach out to other indigenous nations affiliated with the title of Seminole for their input and consent on the use of Seminole imagery and affiliation by the university. Referred to SLAW, passed in SLAW. Please welcome the sponsor to the floor once again. You're unmuted. You may begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you. It's been a busy couple weeks. So essentially, this resolution is something that's been in the works for a good minute. In communication with the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma, after asking, some questions about their involvement and their thoughts on the use of the Seminole name, we communicated with the the leader of the General Council, who oversees the Oklahoma Seminole Nation, and they directed us to a resolution from 2013 that the General Council had passed, essentially condemning the use of Native American iconography, language, symbols for sports teams, colleges, schools, you name it, they condemned it. So in speaking with David Narcomi, who was the General Counsel at the time, it is their position that Florida State University has never reached out to them to begin a dialogue about the use of the Seminole name. They had, they passed a resolution. They referred us to that as their still standing position. But the point of the resolution is, I think it's very important for the university to have those hard conversations with people who use a Seminole name, considering that the university profits a great deal from it. I would also think it's very important for the Seminole Nation to be able to address Florida State University. So hopefully Florida State University can reach out once we pass this resolution and really begin a hard conversation about the use of the Seminole name and image and iconography. Additionally, I'll be yielding in just a moment, but if someone could move to amend to add Senator Ramos as a primary sponsor. She had requested to be added to the resolution, resolution as well. Thank you, and I yield to have my closing.
Sponsor yields 2 minutes and 58 seconds to his closing. We are now in the technical non-debatable questions. For that amendment, just wait till pro-con if you're doing that amendment. But are there any technical non-debatable questions? Senator Bull.
Is it true that the Florida Seminole tribe has been contacted by the university or no?
Senator Villacorta.
Yeah, so what we've been told by administration, the school has a very good relationship with the Seminole Tribe of Florida. However, according to the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma's general counsel, they have never been approached by Florida State University.
All right, are there any other technical non-debatable questions? All right, seeing none, we are now in the first round of pro. Is there anybody wishing to speak in the first round of pro? Senator Marcus.
I don't know the exact language for this, but I move to amend to add Vanessa Ramos as a primary sponsor, right?
Correct. Yep. All right. Is there a second? Senator Stoltz.
So seconded.
Are there any objections? Or actually, does the sponsor find it friendly? I'm assuming you do. You asked for it. All right.
I do.
Are there any objections to the amendment? All right. Seeing none, the amendment is adopted. Senator Ramos is a sponsor. All right. Are there any senators wishing to speak in the first round of pro? Seeing none, we'll move. Oh, Senator Ramos. Well, you're allowed time also, since you're now a sponsor, you're allowed time in the end if you'd like to speak then, but.
I'll be yielding my closing to Senator Ramos.
Okay. All right. So you still want to speak in pro? Okay.
I'll wait till the end.
Okay. All right. Seeing as though there's no senators wishing to speak in pro, we'll move into the first round of con. Are there any senators wishing to speak in con? Senator Stoltz.
I move to pass by acclamation if that's possible.
To my knowledge, it's acceptable, yeah. Is there a second for that? Senator Soto.
So seconded.
All right, is there an objection? We have to, okay, all right. Senator Marcus has a point before we move on.
I just want to, if we pass by acclamation, will Vanessa still get to speak?
Oh, no, no.
Oh, sorry. I didn't.
All right, Senator Stoltz, do you withdraw your motion? All right, is there a new motion? All right, Senator England.
Move to call the question on the resolution.
Is there a second? Senator Soto?
So seconded.
All right, are there any objections? All right, seeing none, sponsors, you have 2 minutes and 59 seconds to your closing. Senator Ramos, just raise your hand so I can unmute you. All right, there we go.
Hey everyone, I am going to keep it kind of short because I do get kind of nervous talking to you all. But I just want to say, like, as an Indigenous student on campus, I feel like this resolution is very important. And I myself have made attempts to try to get in contact with the Oklahoma tribe, but I do feel like it shouldn't be me reaching out to them. It should be our school if we're going to be using them as a mascot and making money off of it. I feel like it shouldn't, I feel like the work should not just rely on the Indigenous students on campus, and that the school needs to do more in speaking with them and corresponding with them. And with that, I yield.
All right, we are now in line to vote. Yes is to pass the resolution, no is to not vote, pass it. Pro tempore Wang.
If you wish to vote yes on this resolution, please raise your hands. I'm also missing a lot of your votes on the previous resolutions and motions and stuff. So please make sure you guys vote. Those wishing to vote no, please raise your hands. Those wishing to abstain, please raise your hands. Vote reads 35 yes, 0 no, 0 abstentions. Resolution does pass.
Congratulations, Senator Villacorta. Resolution 6 does pass. Oh, and Senator Ramos, you are also on the sponsor. Resolution 7, sponsored by Senator Darrell Deek. FSU Student Senate calls on the FSU trustees to review their investments and to divest from companies that violate international humanitarian law, referred to SLAW, then rules, no longer rules, tabled in SLAW. It is still in SLAW. Resolution 8, sponsored by Senator Darrell Deek. The Student Senate, Student Government, and Florida State University needs to take both short and long-term action to ensure that Florida State University is a just, fair, and welcoming place to all students. More specifically for Arab and Muslim students, referred to SLAW then rules, no longer rules, tabled in SLAW. Resolution 9, sponsored by Senator Darrell Deek, denounced the claim by the Burning Spear organization that they control the Student Government Association Student Senate, referred to SLAW then rules and calendar, tabled in SLAW. Resolution 10, which is on the floor, I don't have a description for it. Let me see. Yeah, I don't have a description for it, but it's there. That will go to SLAW. And then unfinished business, none. Statements of dissent. Are there any senators wishing to place a statement of dissent on the floor? All right, seeing none. New business. I will be reinstalling the Survivors Advocacy Ad Hoc. Oh, wait, let me get the correct name. Sexual Assault Survivors and Advocacy Ad Hoc with Senator Soto as the chair. And then the members will be, I'm just going to copy paste it rather than reading it all. There will be 3 non-senators on it, which will also be listed. Give me a second. Here we go. Oh, I hope this comes out right. All right. This consists of Senator Lewis, Senator Little, Senator Martin, Gabadaj, Nemeth, Hitchcock, Lassard, Arute, Tackett, and non-senators Ireland Hadley, Kaylin Christensen, and John Ocampo. I'm sure Senator Soto will reach out to y'all very soon about creating a group chat. All right. Nothing else in new business. Closing announcements. Are there any senators wishing to make a closing announcement? Please raise your hand so I can have the order if you want to. All right. Senator Soto.
Yes, I just wanted to say I'm really excited to reinstate this ad hoc and to work with all the senators that have been selected to get into this ad hoc. So yeah, if you ever want to work with me on anything, y'all can just reach out. But I hope you have a great night.
All right, thank you. Are there any other senators wishing to speak in closing announcements? Pro Tempore Wang, do you have any closing announcements? All right. I just have a few. So the FSU libraries have reached out to Dr. Bowden and I. They are hoping to get a library liaison. Same with the ACE Tutoring Center, they're hoping to get a liaison. Traditionally, they used to keep in contact with Dr. Acosta, but seeing as though Dr. Acosta is no longer here, they're hoping that a senator would do so. Please come to my office hours to talk about that. I'd rather not just appoint them willy-nilly right here. In terms of files, I know that was brought up to me. Sorry, I had to put them in a zip file because it wouldn't allow me to send it in like 30 attachments in one email. So I had to do it that way. We'll hopefully get a clerk sooner or later to be doing all that stuff. But for now, I'll try and do that as best as I can. Next, I just want to make sure everybody's getting all the emails. If you're not, please let me know and drop your email in the chat. And then I also want to make sure everybody's in the group chat because I know last time there was one person that wasn't in it. Just text me if you're not. And then for submissions on the floor, I'm hoping that we can slow down on doing that. It's just a little easier so that I can read them beforehand and then assign them accordingly. That just helps a little better to submit them by 12 p.m. on Tuesdays. So try not to put them on the floor as often as possible. I understand there's extenuating circumstances, but just hopefully we can try and do the process. Other than that, I think it was a pretty good meeting. So I'm proud of all the new senators that are making motions and seconding and whatnot and speaking. So good job to you all. Senator Darley. All right, Senator Lassard. Oh, your point?
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yep.
I guess I think it would be considered a point of personal privilege. I'm just requesting that for the racial inclusivity and justice ad hoc, if you would consider adding 2 non-senator members, Miles Fiacher as well as Marcus, the new 2 non-Senate members who served on it previously. I remember that they did a really great job in regards to advocacy and stuff like that. So if you would take it upon yourself to reach out to those 2 individuals and see if they're still interested, that's something I would definitely appreciate. Yeah, thank you.
Mind texting me their names and their numbers if they're willing,
Yes, sir.
or their emails, whichever. All right, thank you. Senator Lassard.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
We just gotta wait a few seconds. Hold on. Are there any? Do the advisors have any announcements?
I actually do have a couple announcements, but I'll defer to Anna if she has any announcements first, and then I'll make it very quick.
I'm good. Good meeting tonight, y'all. Yeah, that's all I got. Have a nice week. Take care of yourself. Talk to you later.
Absolutely. And in the spirit of Senator Lassard, who sounds like she is ready to get out of here like many of us, I will be very, very brief. One of the things that I promised you all was that I would start to bring information that I thought would be helpful or useful for you all, or at least just provide you information so you can follow up a little bit later. So a couple of things. So one, I think most of you know, Deshaun is now, has transitioned out. So I just ask that you all bear with us. Anna and I will try to do our best to hold down the fort. So with that, I also wanted to make sure that I let you all know that Dr. Felicia Williams has officially joined the team as our new Director of Engagement. So she is listening in, and she has her camera on right quick and she's waving. So I won't put her on the spot tonight, but in a future meeting, I will have her come on and officially introduce herself, and so you all can give her a 73rd welcome. But we are excited to have her. So also wanted to update you all on the SGA Senate Advisor search. So I think I mentioned to you all in the at the retreat that we were undergoing a search right now. I think we have about a week and a half left before it closes. So we're hoping to get some good candidates in here to choose from. We'll definitely keep you all updated on the process and get feedback from you all, but we are definitely hoping that you will participate in that process. There is an open forum opportunity, and then there'll be an opportunity for students in general to be able to engage with the candidates once we get to that point. So I will definitely keep you posted. In that same vein, also bear with us as you notice things missing. For example, someone brought to my attention that some of the legislation might be missing from the website. So I will go back and double check that. But if you all ever catch anything, please let President Harmon or myself know, and we will work to get that up as quickly as possible. There are lots of moving parts that we're working with, so we certainly appreciate that. Chair Stinson and Marcia, I will be getting in touch with you soon. We got to get budget and sweepings and everything rolling soon. So myself and Laurel McKinney, who is the accounting manager, we will be in touch very soon so we can go ahead and get those processes started. And then I think the last thing that I will mention is I've heard a couple people talk about funds and finances that can go directly to supporting students. So I did just want to let you know, I recently actually got the numbers from the university of exactly how much money has been distributed directly to students since March of 2020. So it's just over $14 million that has gone directly to students for aid to support them with technology or rent or other personal needs. And then if you remember, we also did a fundraiser where we brought in just over $500,000. We are hopeful that there will be another round of federal money that is coming in. But I think many of you know the legislative session is coming up very soon, and we're also looking at some other things. And so we will be keeping you abreast of that as well. But we're just shy of 15 million that we've been able to give directly to students by way of the money going straight into their account. And so we are hoping to do something like that again. I know there's been lots of talk of just trying to find different ways to support your peers. And please know that that is certainly on the mind of the administration as well. And always happy to continue to have those conversations. I know a couple of you have reached out to me, so always happy to point you in the right direction and provide any information we can. And with that, I think that's all I have for tonight. Great meeting, and I am looking forward to the next one. And with that, good night.
Thank you, Dr. Bowden. We'll now move into final roll call. Will the pro tempore please call roll?
All right, once again, when I say your name, please raise your hands. Senators Murcia, Flashman, and Tackett. Senators Roy, Villacorta, and Marcus. Senators Bateman, Gertz, and Hunter. Senator Little, Bergen, and Rudolph. Senators Destine, Grunberger, and Rossi. Senators Mouget, Shaler, and Prescia. Senators Randall, Wilkinson, and Stoltz. Senators Arute, England, and Nasworthy. Senators Molina, Hall, and Lassard. Senators Duperrier, Shanahan, and Rodriguez. Senators Linsky, Rigadell, and Fineout. Senators Soto, Lewis, and Ramos. Senators Sam, A. Gonzalez, and Martin. Senators Gabadaj, Reed, and Moore. Senators Suarez, Nemeth, and Russell. Senators J. Hitchcock, Melian, and Murray. Senators West, Rivera, and Thorpe. Senators K. Hitchcock, Darrell Deek, and Tooks. Senators Ross, Bull, and Klink. Senators Luis, Stinson, and R. Gonzalez. All right, we're done with roll call.
Thank you, pro tempore Wang. Is there a motion to adjourn? Senator Suarez. Oh, you might.
Motion. A motion to adjourn.
All right, we are adjourned at 10:37.